Hey, it's me, Baba and I'm back with another retrospective review. I know it took a long time, but I'm finally getting this one done, and this time it's a short retrospective on the Sonic the Hedgehog Storybook series. There are two games, both of them on the Nintendo Wii, and the reason why I'm doing these games is because it's the 6-year anniversary of my very first versus video between these two games. That video had a lot of positive feedbacks and views despite being one of my first videos on Blip.tv. Now I'm looking back on these games and give it a more critical look, even though I did give it regular reviews on my YouTube channel. But I'm going to look back on these games, try to give it a more critical look and see which one is actually better. So consider this one round 2 as well, and we're starting with Sonic and the Secret Rings. Sonic and the Secret Rings was originally going to be a port of Sonic 06, which came out on the Xbox 360 and PlayStation 3. The reason for the change is because the game was too big to port, and they wanted to make a Sonic game that makes use of the Wii motion controls. Well, and Sonic 06 was a very terrible game with lots of negative reviews, and well, you know the whole story about that game. Other than that, there's really not much interesting, about Sonic and the Secret Rings backstory. There's really not many betas, any other footage, some name changes. Like it was originally going to be Sonic Wildfire, then changed it to Sonic and the Secrets of the Ring, then settle on the final name, Sonic. So to make up with the lack of backstory on Sonic and the Secret Rings, let me give you a little backstory about me as a Sonic fan and a gamer. Back in 2008. In 2008, that was 10 years ago. I was only 20 years old, had a job at Walmart, and I didn't do much, at least home console gaming. I played a little bit of GameCube and PlayStation 2, played some of the Sonic games, but other than that, my main gaming was on the Nintendo DS. And I decided, I heard a lot of great things about the Nintendo Wii, how popular it is, and I decided to pick that console up in 2008. And my very first game is this game right here, Super Smash Bros. Brawl. During that time, I was afraid to go back and 3D Sonic games with all the negative reviews of Shadow the Hedgehog and Sonic 06, games that I haven't played before, at least during that time. Sonic Advance and Sonic Rush, I love those games, and I played Sonic Heroes, which was okay during the time, but I think it's, you see my retrospective review on that one, so go check that one out. But I decided to get Sonic and Secret Rings to try because it was cheap, it was used, I got it for like less than $20, and I decided to give it a try, see how quote-unquote bad it is. I heard reviews about that game being pretty bad as well. So there I was, as a Sonic fan, pretty worried, and well, I'll tell you more, but that's in the actual review part, so just get to that one. The story of Sonic and the Secret Rings starts by Sonic getting sucked into the Arabian Nights book. He was summoned by a genie named Shara to help her save her world inside the story. They ran into the main antagonist of the game, Erasure Jin, who put a curse on Sonic and demands that he gathers the 7 world rings or else Sonic will die. Throughout their journey, Sonic runs into people that looks like other characters from the Sonic franchise, like Tails, Knuckles, and Dr. Eggman. This is a common thing throughout the Storybook series. The story itself is pretty mediocre. It has some comedic moments and some serious moments, and it's done pretty alright, but most of the story is pretty forgettable in my opinion, and a little bit of a spoiler, and it's something that I didn't realize in my first playthrough, and well, I barely realized it in this one, but apparently there's been a thing between Shara and the main villain of the game, Erasure Chin. Apparently they have, well, I won't say abusive, but possibly an unhealthy relationship between the two. Like, they were a thing. Uh, Throughout this playthrough, I may notice a few lines that may indicate that, but for the most part, if Sega was intending to tell that kind of story, I think they kept it too subtle and there was barely any interaction between the Erasure Chin and Shaw. And the presentation itself is, I like the idea, but the execution could have been a whole lot better. I wish it could have been a bit more animated and colorful. I like the storybook telling of the story, but again, should have been better executed. The gameplay and controls are manageable, to put it nicely. You are going to have some trouble getting used to it, especially in some areas, but once you practice and get used to it, I think you'll be able to find some enjoyment in the game like I did. But I'm not going to lie to you, you are going to get frustrated in some of the levels, mainly because of the controls itself. Like, for example, most controls is what you use to control Sonic. You hold the remote sideways and tilt to left and right. And to go backwards, you need to twist the remote back towards you. And unfortunately, it needs to be at a very specific position in order to work. And trust me, Sonic's going to need to move backwards in some levels. It's pretty much mandatory. Jumping and attacking mostly is done with button press. Well, except for attacking, you just shake the remote to do a homing attack because everything back then needed motion controls. They need to work that game again somehow. But other than that, everything else works mostly fine. Sonic also has a level up system to increase his speed and gain new abilities, like extending his homing attack, moving left or right a bit better, which that should not be a thing. That should have been, at the very start of the game, and make his backflip attack an actual attack, which also should have been standard for the game. But there's a few neat stuff there. I do recommend checking in every time you get a new ability, and leveling it up is pretty easy. You get experience by completing missions, and usually I get a level up after completing one, maybe two missions tops. So you never really have to level grind. Sonic also gets the ability to learn Time Break and Soul Break. Time Break slows down things around Sonic so he can dodge obstacles much easier, while Soul Break pretty much makes Sonic go fast and pass everything by him. Now, the one thing I don't like about these abilities is that you don't get these until after you finish the first mission of World 4. I remember seeing these abilities in trailers, and I thought you're going to get these in the start of the game, but you don't get these until half the game in. I find that very confusing, and I'm not sure why Sega decided to do that. But other than that, the ability works pretty fine, and for the most part, I didn't even use them. I was just having fun playing, Sonic as he is. Personally, I like the idea of Sonic moving around by himself while you guide him from danger. But with that being said, this idea does not work well with platforming. Platforming in small areas can be very frustrating because you can mistime your jump or landing, especially when the camera is right behind Sonic most of the time, so it's hard to see where you can land. My advice is that instead of using brake to make the landing, just hold down the 2 button. That's where you jump by holding it. Sonic will stay still by himself, and then when you're ready to jump, just let go of it, and he'll automatically jump. That makes things a lot easier in my second and third playthrough. But other than that, the platforming can be where you can die a whole lot. Now, the good thing about Sonic and the Secret Rings is that you don't have any lives, and the checkpoints are pretty generous, so at least the game takes it easy on you in that area. But other than that, you are going to have some frustrating time with Sonic and the Secret Rings, especially if this is your first playthrough. I really like the roads in this level. Each of them feel special and have their own unique gimmicks. Like in Pirate Storm, you get to ride on a can or surf around for a bit. In Night Powers, you get to travel to this mystical part of the game where everything seems to be made of grass and some of the platforms can break off at any moment. Granted, some of them can be kind of cheap, but I like the visuals. And in Skeleton Dome, you get to break fossils to get to higher ground sometimes. I think they went all out in the level design. Granted, some of them can be kind of cheap in some areas. Like sometimes it can easily fall off a platform due to poor controls. But again, I blame the controls more than the actual levels themselves. The missions in this game are, pretty serviceable. I think lazy in some areas. Like they reuse some designs, and I don't mean just backgrounds. Like level designs from the very first stage of each world. But for the most part, it's doable. But there are some missions that really frustrate me. Now, besides the tutorial world, each of the 7 worlds, they start with your basic Sonic stage where you go for the goal. Pretty much in every 3D Sonic game, you just defeat enemies, pass through obstacles, and head for the finish line. And the other missions after that is pretty much basic objectives like defeat a certain amount of enemies, collect a certain amount of rings, don't break the jars. This is an actual mission. Really don't have to break the jars. You gotta avoid them at all cost. And those are fine. I mean, they're not like the most exciting thing in the world, but they're pretty basic stuff. I think some of them can overstay their welcome, but other than that, it's, doable. But there are some missions that are pretty frustrating and still gives me a lot of trouble to this day, like collecting all the eggs in the dinosaur world. There's like 5 of them, and it's not enough to find the eggs and get them. You need to bring it back to the nest, and it's not just one area to bring it back in. That would have been all right, but you gotta bring it back to its very specific nest. Like if you have an egg with a star in it, you need to bring it back to a nest that also has a star in it. And if you happen to pass it up or not find it, you pretty much gotta go all the way back because the stage makes Sonic go around in a circle so you don't get lost. So you're spending all that time looking for the right nest, and some of them has different pathway to take. Like sometimes you need to press a button to activate another area, or just be at the right position in a part of a level. It's difficult to explain. I get that. Trust me, it's difficult to pull off as well. So in other words, I think Sega really dropped the ball on that one and really should have stuck with this one straight pathway, or better yet, not have that mission. And there's another mission where you have to defeat one enemy. Doesn't sound too bad, but the trick is that the enemy, that one enemy, is very far over there And in order to get to that one enemy, you need to climb this rope or swing on it. And you have to use motion controls, of course. And I don't mind motion controls in game as long as they work. But the thing is, this one doesn't work. Or at least it doesn't work as I thought it was. The best advice is that pretty much once you go down, don't use the motion control just yet. So let Sonic pass through a bit, then swing all the way down to the left to make Sonic gain more momentum. And once Sonic reach all the way to the top, you should be able to get that enemy. But trust me, it's something I always forget to do. I always forget to remember that. And well, it's only a few missions that does that to me, but boy, it's still frustrating even to this day. I'm sorry if I went on a very long unnecessary tangent on that one. It's always been annoying to me. Surprisingly, there's only 3 boss battles, not counting the final boss, of course. That's the giant scorpion, the sea creature, and the mechanical golem. All 3 of them are fun in their own way. All 3 of them are unique. Sonic can defeat the sea creature pretty gory if you ask me. It's just taking away its horns, but it's a fun battle nonetheless. The only complaint I do have is with the mechanical golem. His attack can be pretty cheap, and his one attacks involve Sonic moving backwards to dodge, which again is more of a complaint on the controls rather than the boss battle itself. But other than that, I really enjoy the boss battles. I just wish there were more of them. Now on to the final boss battle. I lied earlier ago. There's actually 4 boss battles. You just need to fight Eraser Gen Trice, technically. Technically it's not a different face of him, but it might as well be, in my opinion. The first boss battle is actually pretty fun. His attacks are pretty easy to figure out, and it's really not that much special compared to the other boss battle, to be quite honest. But after you defeat him the first time, you need to gather all the 7 world rings to enter the final story. To get the world rings, you need to complete certain missions. There's 1 ring in each world, and to get these rings, you need to complete that certain mission. And usually it's something easy to figure out, like defeat the boss battles or complete that 1 mission that is very unique to that 1 world. Well, the last one is disguised as a regular mission that you've been doing throughout this whole game, so keep that in mind. But for the most part, they're easy to figure out and to get. When Sonic finally confronted Eraser Jin, it turns out Shaw was working for him the whole time, betraying Sonic the Hedgehog. This would have been a bit more surprising if I kind of didn't spoil the story in the first part of the review, so I apologize for that. When Eraser Jin was going to finish off Sonic the Hedgehog, Shaw had a change of heart, sacrificing herself. This caused Sonic to rage and transform into Dark Spine Sonic with the power of the 7 world rings. The design of Dark Spine Sonic looks kind of cool to me, except for the eyes. That's creepy. I'm not sure whose idea was it to get rid of the iris and pupils. Just leave it all white. It's very creepy. But on to the actual battle itself. It's actually pretty fun and kind of challenging. I mean, don't get me wrong, the patterns are very easy to figure out, but in some areas you're probably going to die throughout your first playthrough, especially with the electric mine. I recommend using Time Break because those mines are going to suck you in. The only big tips I give for you is to refill your meter every time, which is by shaking the remote, and use Speed Break to dodge that one giant attack where pretty much Erasure Chain is doing a Kamehameha wave and Sonic needs to knock that back. And once Erasure Chain is done from that, you need to hit his weak spot. Do that multiple times and pretty much you finish the battle. I think it was a great way to end the game. I wish it was a bit better in idea, but for the most part, it was a fun battle. Kind of frustrating at times, I'm not gonna lie, but I did enjoy the victory once I actually defeated him.
So then you are the legendary Blue Hedgehog. A great curse has been placed upon you. I can see in your eyes the grim fate that awaits you.
Hey, quit staring! You're giving me the creeps!
Sonic and the Secret Rings is a game that I enjoyed. The first time I played this game, I hated this game, and I didn't really start enjoying this game until I started making my Sonic and the Secret Rings versus Sonic and the Black Knight review, which I thought Sonic and the Black Knight was going to win, but after playing through both games, I really started to appreciate Sonic and the Secret Rings more. Now, don't get me wrong, it's not a great game, or even a good game, technically speaking. Consider it a guilty pleasure of mine, but I do think there is some enjoyment in this game, and I do recommend for any Sonic fans to try it out just once if you haven't. I'm pretty sure you can find it pretty cheap. But I'm not going to lie to you, you are going to get frustrated at the game. But if you have patience and are determined to finish this game, you may find some enjoyment. Just make sure you consider my tips that I give out through this review, and you're probably going to have an easier time. Sales-wise, this game did pretty well. It was one of the best-selling Wii games for a while, and its lifetime sales is 2.75 million. Of course it has a sequel, and it's not that surprising, but what is surprising is the reviews from critics. Looking at the reviews, there's actually a lot more positive reviews than I was expecting. Now, granted, this on average is not a highly rated game, but there was a lot of 7 and 8s than I was expecting. Some of them rate them as low as 5, but on Metacritic, it's averaging a 69, which is, not very high, but compared to the other 3D Sonic games, this could be technically one of the best of them. Granted, there's not much competition, but still, I didn't expect this game to be rated that high. Now, fans, on the other hand, they consider Sonic and the Secret Rings, another one of those bad 3D Sonic games that Sega, was using it. They're not the same. They're making bad 3D Sonic games left and right. And even to this day, I see a lot more people hating this game than actually enjoying it. A few people think that this game is worse than Sonic 06. And, everybody has their opinion. I respectfully disagree with that. Even though I don't think it's technically a great game, I did have more enjoyment with this game than any other Sonic games. Watching. Up next is my Sonic and the Black Knight retrospective review. Did my opinion of that game change? Find out next time. And if you enjoyed this video, please watch my other retrospective videos. They're also on my YouTube channel, mostly rarer, and if you want another Sonic retrospective, I did Sonic Heroes as well. So tune in next time. This is me, Bobby 3, and I catch you guys later.